Welcome to our English 2 video on persuasive vocabulary. Have you ever tried to convince someone to agree with you about something? Sure you have. Every day we run into situations in which we want to convince someone else to see things our way. But people don't always agree with us, do they? So what techniques do we use when we really want someone to agree with us? Well, you can cry, yell, and throw a fit, and although that sometimes might work with your parents, it's not a good strategy to use with coworkers, your boss, friends, teachers, or really anyone else. Trying to convince someone to agree with something you believe is called persuasion. Advertisers, politicians, activists, people at work, people at school, family members, everybody will try to convince someone to agree with something they believe at some point in life. By the end of this video lesson, you will learn the persuasive terms that make up the parts of an argument, you will know what the word rhetoric means, and you will learn 4 rhetorical devices that are commonly used in persuasive arguments. Use your notes page to fill in the blanks as we go along. First, let's talk about claims. A claim is the writer or speaker's position on an issue or a problem. For example, I should go to Galveston during Christmas break with my friends. You should vote for Betsy Ross for class president. Girls should be allowed to play on the boys' football team. These are all claims. It's the thing you want to see happen, or it's the thing that you believe in that you want other people to believe in too. But just saying what you want is not enough. In order to get people to agree with you, you need to provide them with good reasons and compelling evidence. You cannot change a person's mind unless they come to see things your way. A compelling evidence or compelling argument means that you can't help but agree with it. Your good reasons and compelling evidence are both types of support for your claim. Support is any material that helps prove your claim. If you think of your claim like the top of a table, support are the legs that hold up that tabletop, making it stronger, giving it support, and making sure it's balanced and steady. Pause this video and fill in the notes for support, reasons, and evidence. Your reasons and your evidence will work together to support your claim. In our claim, I should go to Galveston with Emily during Christmas break, a reason could be, I've worked really hard this semester, and the rest I would get in Galveston would refresh me to do even better in school next semester. That's a reason, but we still could use some evidence to back it up. There's empirical evidence, anecdotal evidence, and logical evidence. An example of empirical evidence might be, I read an article in Scholastic magazine that students who balance school and work do 25% better on state tests. Empirical evidence is based on scientific research. An example of anecdotal evidence would be, last year when Grandma took me to the beach during spring break, I came back and nailed my exams the following week. Anecdotal evidence is based on personal or first-hand experience to support the claim. Finally, logical evidence is appealing to your reason or sound judgment. And if you let me go to Galveston during Christmas break, you and Dad can have some valuable alone time, which I know you could use. The counterargument is the part of a persuasive argument where you talk about the other side's major objection and provide a statement to disprove or answer the objection. A counterargument is not the same thing as supporting the other side. You're not agreeing with them. You are pointing out reasons why what they believe is weak. After you have pointed out all of your supporting reasons and evidence. If your reasons and evidence are strong, then the other person will come around to see things your way. Rhetoric word model sheet in your notes packet. Pause the video and take some time right now to complete this word model. The definition of rhetoric goes in the upper left corner. Any synonyms you can find in the upper right. In the lower left corner, draw an illustration of what do you think rhetoric means. And in the lower right corner, use the word rhetoric correctly in a complete sentence. If you don't have one of these pre-printed sheets, you can do this on a sheet of notebook paper. Now that we have defined rhetoric, let's look at the rhetorical devices most commonly used in persuasive text: repetition, parallelism, analogies, and rhetorical questions. You will need this worksheet to complete as we go through these notes. Rhetorical devices are the techniques that people use in order to make their arguments more memorable and stronger. The first one we're going to look at is repetition. Repetition is using the same word or phrase more than once for emphasis. Dr. Martin Luther King used repetition often in his speeches. In this example, he repeats the word freedom several times to make sure that we remember it as an important word in his speech. Used correctly, repetition can be a powerful rhetorical device in your speech or text. The next rhetorical device we're going to look at is parallelism. Parallelism is the use of similar grammatical constructions to express ideas that are related or of equal importance. Parallelism is similar to repetition, but it's the entire grammatical structure repeated, not just a word or phrase. Pause the video and have a look through this example, also from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. See if you can notice what he repeats. The grammatical structure of the sentences that start out, "I have a dream," are repeated throughout his speech. The next rhetorical device we're going to look at is analogies. An analogy is a comparison made in order to explain or clarify a point. Read this analogy example. Withdrawal of American troops will be like salted peanuts to the American public. The more U.S. troops come home, the more will be demanded. The writer compares American troops coming home to peanuts. Not these kind of peanuts. He compares them to salted peanuts, the kind you eat. And he explains it further by saying, the more U.S. troops come home, the more will be demanded. That's because generally when people eat salted peanuts, they can't stop. They eat many of them. An analogy is like a metaphor, but it's a metaphor that the speaker explains. The speaker wants to make very clear why they are using the analogy and how it adds to the speech or the text. The last device we're going to look at are rhetorical questions. A question asks to create a dramatic effect rather than to get an answer. You don't expect an answer to a rhetorical question because it is obvious. A well-timed rhetorical question gives your reader or your audience time to think about the point you just made, making your argument stronger. In summary, an argument, whether you're writing a persuasive essay or preparing a speech for a debate, you need a claim supported by reasons and evidence. Use a counterargument toward the end of your speech or text to address what you think the other side's objection will be. Understand that rhetoric is the art of using speech to convince or persuade. And use techniques called rhetorical devices built throughout your message to make it stronger and more meaningful. Now that you've completed your notes, go through your packet and locate the example article. Read through it once and then go back and annotate for the things we've just learned. Identify the author's claim, any supporting reasons and evidence, and any rhetorical devices that the author used in order to make their point. Write these clearly in the column on the right.